Hi, I'm Alydia Rackham, and welcome to this week's novel writing tutorial. Alright, so we are going to talk about the beginning of the story, the actual sitting down and writing the first few lines of the story. Now, before, when I said the beginning isn't actually the beginning, well, that's the truth. Because look at all the work that you've done before you've actually sat down and written anything. You have your character interviews for your villain and your hero, and you've got your setting, and you've built your world all up, and you've got your outline and everything like that all fleshed out. So your map, your funds and your packing and your clothes and everything, your car's all full of gas, and all you gotta do is go. But first, here's what you need to do. It's kind of like getting in your car and putting on your seatbelt, okay? You have to have a good place to work. We already talked about the room of your own, but you need to have a nice place to set your computer, and it needs to have good lighting in there. I would prefer that you not be in a closet like in Harry Potter under the stairs. Someplace that has a window letting in some natural light. It'll just help you from getting headaches and stuff. It's not good to be in darkness when you're writing. That'll kind of make you ill. You also need to have a good chair, because if you're sitting down a lot, like I do, you need to have good back support. You can't be hunching over like Quasimodo. You have to be able to sit up, arrange yourself so that your wrists aren't bent like this, so that you're not getting carpal tunnel. Make yourself very comfortable. You should also have a notepad off to the side with a pencil or a pen, so that you can jot down little ideas, make lists to yourself for later in case anything pops in your head. It's just, I always have that. You should always have something next to you to drink. You like my wicked witch. You should have water, preferably something healthy. Don't do pop. Get some tea, get some water, some juice, something like that. That will always be there, so you don't have to be getting up unless you really have to. But just make sure that you make yourself all very comfortable in your space, so that nothing is distracting or annoying you. Also, if you need to, you can make a big announcement to everybody in your house. I'm writing now! Leave me alone! And then you go and shut the door. So that it drowns out some of the sounds of, well, the kitchen for me is right through there, and there's a TV and all that jazz. So you don't need to be hearing that. The door shut. Now you're in your magical cave of imagination, where anything can happen in your own little corner, in your own little chair. Okay, the actual beginning of the actual narrative. Now, I know I mentioned the wall earlier in the preview. This is not the wall. Guys, this is not. Beginning might be difficult, slightly, but it's only as scary as you make it be. And I've found that the longer that you delay this, the actual writing of the first sentence, the scarier it gets. So just go. Just write something down. Because in your outline, you should have already picked out what scene you're starting with. So what's the big deal? You're not having to make that up. You've already decided where you're starting and with whom, what characters and where they are and everything like that. And you know where they're going, and you know what has to be accomplished in that little scene. So just start. Now, as in all these videos, I always give you something to avoid, right? So here's the main thing to avoid in your beginning, and it's called the meandering road. And I don't know where I learned that, but it's an actual term. The meandering road beginning is just what you would imagine. It takes this slow time to sort of weave around and finally get, so you're starting out in the country, And then there's the hills, and then there's the and the trees, and the river, and then we go past that, and then here's this little town. And the little town looks like this, and the chimneys are like this, and and then down the road and to the right, and there's this little house, and inside the little house, there were these old people, but then they died, and now, oh, stop. No, don't do that. Now, there was a time that was in fashion. If you look at the beginning of Moby Dick, if you can get past that part without turning into a mummy, then that's what that's like. I think it literally describes the bricks of the chimneys in the harbor. Who cares? Like, the story doesn't take place in the harbor. It takes place out on a ship chasing a whale. Why did we spend so much time talking about this harbor? So don't do that. If you can, start with something just happening or words coming out of someone's mouth, and right in the middle of some sort of action, right as close as you can possibly get to the first thing that happens in your outline. Don't go and do all this massive setup because it's boring and people don't care. You need to engage them right away. Just grab them in the gut and don't let go. Another thing you need to avoid is bleeding. Don't bleed. And what I mean by that is, don't treat every word that comes out as if you are being leeched. You know that old remedy that doctors used to do where they cut you open and then you bleed out into a pan and you're just, you're just agonizing. Don't do that. It's not that important. It's really not. Don't agonize over every little deep. And don't reread every sentence 4 times. Just go. Just start writing and go. And get into the flow of things. Because this is like trying to get water to go through a frozen pipe here at the beginning. And once it's flowing, you will find it a lot easier. But at the very beginning, it is hard, and you should expect it to be kind of hard. Like, as far as like being sort of rough and unnatural and weird, because you, just like the characters, you don't know these people. Like, you've interviewed them, but you don't actually know what it's like to walk around with them yet. And you haven't been in the place yet. You have been thrown basically into another planet, and you have to adjust to all of that. So allow yourself to do that. Keep flowing, keep writing, keep going, and do not bleed out in pain over these first few paragraphs. Just keep going. Just keep going. Trust me. Another fun thing that you can start doing is creating playlists for yourself. You can either do this on iTunes or YouTube. But I have found it a very useful tool to pick out music, movie soundtracks, TV show soundtracks, things like that suit the mood of what I'm writing. And then I can put on my headphones and I can just like shut out the world, because even if there's, some noise out there, these block them out pretty good. And I can just really focus. It creates like this tunnel of attention that I can just work, and then I'm very music oriented anyway, and that really helps the emotions to flow, especially if I'm writing something dramatic or really exciting like a battle or a fight scene. To have, pounding music back there really helps. It's exciting and it keeps you enthused and in the moment. So give that a try. That's kind of fun. You can make private YouTube playlists if you don't want other people to listen to it, and just plug into that and have a good time. It really helps put you in the moment. I wouldn't write a story without music ever nowadays. I was just my dorky bird thinking that she needs to be involved in things because she's a prima donna and a drama queen. Okay, so there's really no homework for this time, just to keep in mind, don't bleed, just get started. But no meandering road. Start right close to that outline. And since you've got all of this stuff to work with, all the outlining and all of the character stuff, you should be able to start and to keep going. Make sure you're well equipped with water and pen and pencil and paper and headphones if you want to, and music, and just make this your zone of imagination and awesome. And have a lot of fun. This is part of the best part. I mean, it's all really great, but this is really a fun part, beginning. Because yeah, you've got it outlined, but things will come up and surprise you. In every story, it always happens, and it's pretty delightful and fun when it happens. And you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as you get into it. So have fun. See you next week.